everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing an album review. This one was requested by a user called Wayne Shields, so thank you very much for requesting this. He asked me a good few months ago now to review this album, King of America by Elvis Costello. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'll give a bit of background information about the record, then go over each of the 15 tracks on the record, and also score the album out of 100%. So yeah, this was Costello's 10th studio album, released on the 21st of February in 1986. I mean, that was absolutely mammoth productivity, considering he'd only been making records for about 10 years before this, so at least an album every year from Costello consistently, really fantastic work rate from him. However, this was kind of very much represented a change of direction for Costello. His last album, what was called Goodbye Cruel World, was not very well received, and he ditched both the producers for that record, Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley, and also got rid of his long-time backing band at The Attractions, who had played on every record of his since his second album, This Year's Model. This was the first record he made without the Attractions since This Year's Model, although they do appear on one song called Suit of Lights. For this album, Costello decided to team up with American producer T-Bone Burnett and moved to a more sort of rootsy, acoustic-driven album. The band assembled for this record consisted of highly experienced and accomplished session musicians, including Mitchell Froom, Jim Keltner, and some players who, I believe, played with Elvis Presley originally. The album itself can also be seen as a attempt to completely reinvent himself. The album isn't actually credited to Elvis Costello. At the side there, it's credited to The Costello Show, featuring the Confederates, I think. So yeah, and also on the actual song credits, he's referred to as Declan McManus. He's completely dropped the Elvis Costello name for this record. Also even the cover as well, it looks nothing like him. He's sporting a beard with these different glasses. It's hard actually to recognise him as the Elvis Costello of about 2 years previous. Commercially, this album didn't do too great. It hit number 11 on the UK charts, but only number 39 in America, which was a bit disappointing considering how much American music influenced and informed this album. Promotionally, the record company they were quite confused at how to actually market this record, and actually issued a cover of Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood as the lead single from the record, and after that pretty much stopped promoting it, so it didn't really get a chance to do much chart wise, this album. But I will just now show you my vinyl copy of it. This isn't a brilliant copy. You've probably seen the cover here, but there is a little mark there. I think that there's a barcode or something that got sort of peeled off. So yeah, it isn't in fantastic shape. But there's a cover, there's the back of it there. You get a inner sleeve of this, which just has lyrics. I'm not sure what the deal with this record was, because it's got all these things stamped on it, withdrawn, so maybe it belonged to a radio station, or something, this copy. But it plays really well though, and again, on the label there, there's this kind of withdrawn logo on it. Sorry about the glare as well. So yeah, here's the record, single vinyl, 15 tracks in total, so there is a lot of music packed onto here. It's a bit Get Happy and Imperial Bedroom. Costello really tries to cram in as much material as possible. Okay, so I'm now just going to go over each of the album songs. I'll score each track out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. It was a fine idea at the time. Okay, so the record opens up, which is with what is probably the best song I got it, to be honest with you. It's called Brilliant Mistake. And yeah, just really great opening track. I like the melody of the song, it's quite memorable. The chorus line, the chorus line which goes, "It was a fine idea at the time, but now it's a brilliant mistake." Like, I quite like that bit. The actual sound that go off like the song as well, like the guitar and drums, they all just work really well. So like, yeah, great track there to open the album, Brilliant Mistake. Second track in is called Lovable, which is a more kind of rockabilly style, like acoustic guitar number. It is quite basic lyrically, like it is just like a kind of sort of like 50s style, like sort of like love song really, but it's quite a fun song. Like, there's also like a nice key change as well towards the end, which keeps the track interesting. I believe this was also a US single as well, like issued after Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, but like, it didn't do anything like commercially, this song here. But like, it is a fun track there though, Lovable. We'll get a 7 out of 10 for me. You're not gonna do a thing. That's followed up by the quite sort of softly sung "Our Little Angel," which is a more kind of like country style number. Like, there's some quite tasteful slide guitar work in it, and like overall, like, it isn't like a bad song. There are some nice like lyrics like in it, like as well, like some like clever rhymes. I think like he talks about a chainsaw through a dictionary as well. So yeah, I mean, like that's like one of like the lines in it. So yeah, like overall, like a nice track there, like "Our Little Angel." Costello sings it well, and like overall, like it isn't like too bad. Maybe goes on a little bit too long, but like, yeah, a 7 out of 10 for that track there. And then we get the single from the record, "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood," which is a cover like of like a classic song, like originally done by Nina Simone, but like more famously the Animals like had like a hit with it. But for me, quite simply, Costello's version just doesn't like come close like to like the Animals version. Like, he's got like this sort of xylophone what takes over like the song. I mean, like, it is like an interesting like interpretation, but like, I mean, like also like vocally like as well, like his vocals like nowhere near like as good as Eric Burdon's. So like, yeah, like as I said, the single from the record reached number 33 like on like the charts. So not a brilliant performance there, but like, yeah, like not a bad version though. Just not really like a highlight like on the album for me. The next song is called Glitter Gulch, which is another fast-paced, like rockabilly style song. It is a little bit sort of too frantic, like too fast. This one for me, like, it's very difficult to sort of like work out like what he's actually saying, like in like the song, like lyrics. Like, it's quite hard like to pick them up. I mean, it's fun, but like it isn't like anything special. So yeah, like Glitter Gulch would get a 6 out of 10 for me. Indoor fireworks. Next one is one of the more well-known songs, like one of the more like highly regarded tracks like on the record. It's called Indoor Fireworks, and like this one is a really nice ballad with like a really good like metaphorical lyric like about like a confrontational relationship. I mean, it isn't a song which I like immediately fell in love with, and like certainly like I think it works better like on this album rather than like on like a Costello hits like compilation. Like, this one kind of sticks out like as being like a little bit boring, but like on like this actual album, like it actually does work quite well, surrounded by like the other songs. So yeah, like Indoor Fireworks, I would give an 8 out of 10 to. Like, I do quite like that song. And they'll soon be pulling down the little palaces. The next one is a more sort of folky number called Little Palaces, which, yeah, is quite a bitter lyric to this one. Like, it's sort of like a protest song, like in like the same sort of like style, like of like someone like Billy Bragg, like about like 80s Britain, like, but it also covers like his childhood memories of like growing up like on like the Wirral. Has some quite nice mandolin parts like as well. Like, however, the song itself, it just isn't very memorable. Like, it's just not a track I like enjoy listening to really. Like, it just like passes by without much effect. So yeah, like Little Palaces would get a 5 out of 10. I'll wear it proudly. And then closing off side 1, we get another song which I'm just simply not a massive fan of. It's called I'll Wear It I'll Wear It Proudly, which is another kind of lifeless song. It's quite stripped back, like arrangement, like again, like with Costello's vocals like at the fore. Like it's a kind of like love song, but like it isn't really like all like it isn't really like all that great. So yeah, like I'll Wear It Proudly would get a 4 out of 10, maybe my least favourite song like on the record possibly.
Now we don't speak any English, just American without tears.
And then we open up side 2 with one of the better tracks called American Without Tears, which yeah, this song is really good. Like it's about like emigrating to America. Like Costello does a really good like moving vocal performance, like with like quite like an effortless like lyric. Like he just kind of like sings this song like really well. Like it doesn't sound forced like at all. The actual band performance though, it isn't really like very exciting. Like this is like something else like what I have like with like kind of like these session musicians, like they're all really good, like really like accomplished players, like but they just lack like the passion like what like a band like the Attractions like would have like dealing with this track. It's a little bit too slick, like a little bit too clean, like too perfect. And then the next song is probably definitely my least favourite track like on the record. It's a song called Eisenhower Blues, which is just complete filler really. Like I mean like it's a cover like of like an old blues song originally written by J.B. Lenore. There's absolutely nothing special like about this song. Like it's even, I would say this is a bad track to be honest with you. I mean like the song itself like isn't like anything great. Like like Costello's version like towards the end like he does these kind of screeching backing vocals, just sounds very ghastly, just like isn't a pleasant track to listen to like at all. So yeah, like complete filler there, like Eisenhower Blues. Yeah, like never really need to hear that song like ever again.
The poison road.
And then that's followed up by a song called Poisoned Rose, which is just another kind of average song really. I mean like it's quite stripped back, it's quite jazzy, there's like a prominent double bass part, like as well like as like Costello's vocals, which are quite good, but the actual song itself just isn't memorable. Like there's no melody to it, it's just kind of like an exercise like in like trying to be sort of jazzy like and come off like quite sort of clever and like highbrow. So yeah, like Poison Rose, just not a track that interests me. Next track though like is a little bit better. It's called The Big Light, which this one a much more like upbeat song. We definitely need that now like on like the record, and like lyrically it is quite creative. Like it's about sort of recovering like from like a hangover, like after like all like after like a night out. Like again like it's quite fast paced like rockabilly arrangement, which is maybe getting overused like on like the record, considering like the same like arrangement like was used like on Lovable and like Gulch as well. But still though, like not a bad track there though, The Big Light. Like yeah, we'll get a 7 out of 10 for me. And then the next song I'd say is the most underrated track like on the record. It's called Jack of All Parades, which is a really good song. It is quite nicely spaced out like as well. Like there's like slower passages, but also like more like powerful like upbeat bits like as well. Again, a strong lyric on it, and like quite like a restrained performance like by like the band. Like you just complement the song nicely. And reason why it isn't like a 9 like or even like a 10 like is because it does drag a little bit like at 5 minutes 18, but still one of the better tracks like on the record. Jack of All Parades would get an 8 out of 10 for me. Okay, so now the penultimate song is called Suit of Lights, which is another again like another solid track here. I like the line pulls him out like off the cool ground, and that's kind of like the chorus. Like I like the way he sings that, like the melody off that bit's like quite catchy. This is notably like as well like the only song like on the record to feature the Attractions, like which you might think would make it stick out like a sore thumb. However, it doesn't. Like Steve Naive's piano just like it is like also central to the effectiveness like of this track. Like actually really like fits in quite well like with like the other music like on this album. So yeah, Suit of Lights would get a 7 out of 10. Pretty good song there.
Now you say you
And then we close with another sort of dull track called Sleep Off the Just, which is a kind of dull piano ballad to finish. Costello doesn't really put much effort into the vocals on this. He sounds quite uninterested singing it. I've heard different interpretations regarding the lyrics to this song. Some people say it's about the troubles in Northern Ireland. I mean, I don't really hear that too much in the song, but it isn't a bad track, the Sleep of the Just. Yeah, I would say it's an average song to finish. A 5 out of 10 there.
I suppose I should have told.
Okay, so overall, this album would score 63%, which isn't a brilliant score. This is by no means a bad album, but it's just, for me, nowhere near as good as Costello's earlier work. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people do disagree because this is often highly regarded as one of Costello's best albums. Certainly it's a important record. This is where Costello kind of completely, I would say, becomes the artist he is today. A songwriter who acts his age, but he can't quite come up with the same brilliance of his earlier work. He indulges in many different styles, and he almost on this record seems ashamed of his punk and new wave roots. It also suffers as well because of the length, clocking in at just under an hour. And for me, there's not enough musical variety and not enough exciting, interesting, good songs to keep the records interesting. Had this been a normal length album, from about 35 to 45 minutes, I think this would have been pretty solid effort, a good about 70-75% probably. As it is bogged down with some simply filler songs, some songs which do absolutely nothing for me. But again, amongst them, there are some good tracks Brilliant Mistake, Indoor Fireworks, Jack of All Parades, and Suit of Lights as well. The assembled band, they are competent, but most session musicians, they really lack the passion which a band such as the Attractions come up with, and also in terms of arrangements as well. It's kind of just American music by numbers. You've got your kind of your classic rockabilly sound, your more sort of country ballads as well on here, and there isn't much sort of musical scope on here. It is quite a samey album throughout. So yeah, that's just my review of this record. I hope you have enjoyed. I know this review will be quite a contentious one because a lot of fans see this as the second chapter of his career, the start of a new beginning for Costello really. But for me this was kind of a downfall for him. It's kind of where he stopped being kind of interesting and quite clever lyrically, and just became a little bit boring. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.
Everybody's bar, but soon that thrill just fades.